Today's chapter is chapter 9, Rajavidya Yoga. So the yoga through king of sciences. Now this Rajavidya, he is not talking about Raja Yoga. He's talking about Rajavidya. Okay. So Vidya means knowledge, science. So by knowing this, you don't need to know anything else. So let me just recap what we did last time. So last time, the chapter 8, we talk about how the whole life we need to practice so that at the time of the death, we can remember him as a Krishna, as a conscious effort, and we can create our conscious awareness. And we devoted all our actions at the time of the death. So then we will merge, we will remove, get away from the cycle of birth and death. So how to maintain this? He explained about this. And again, it is most important part to keep reminding ourselves is again practice, abhyasa. So keep thinking about divine or God all the time, and whatever our actions, we need to work on it. He did explain about the different form of meditations can be choose. So regardless of any form, either you use a name or the physical form or virtual form or any kind of formless qualities and leelas, this game about and all the associates of the god, the other celestial god. So you can choose any of this. And lastly, we talk about as a yogi, we are in this path. So if you want to go higher level, we need to use the path of light, and we need to become a yogi all the time. Now, to continuation of this, how to become a yogi all the time, we will get some answers in this chapter. And similarly, what he's talking about, we talk about the yoga, and he talk about the how the whole Brahma is universe is created in this the chapter 8. His creation part he is talk about in this chapter 8, while the maintenance part he did explain about in this chapter 9, and how we can merge and we can take understand about this. So in this chapter 9 is Raja Vidya Yoga through the king of science. Although this chapter is a lot of phrases or the verses are interrelated, what we have learned so far. He talk about devotion again, he talk about his manifestation, he talk about his glory, and but most importantly, we will need to understand how we can be. He did talk about how to do devotion. So we need to, if you want to take away from this chapter, is we will learn how can we learn a proper devotion, how to be yogi 24/7, and he's explaining very nicely, very beautifully. The essence here is worship, worship, how to do a worship. And again, there is, he set certain criteria and rules, but no rules for this worships. So overall, this chapter will talk about, if you want to define in one line, is we need to value our blessings. We don't know how blessed we are. So we need to appreciate that. So appreciation comes when we have a love, when we have a love, when we have a devotion, when we have a faith or shraddha, then only you will have a devotion. So we need to understand this. Without shraddha, we cannot have a devotion. Without devotion, we cannot go into the love. We don't have a love, we cannot appreciate the thing. So we need to understand all these simple words we are using day-to-day life very cautiously. We need to understand and implement in the divine creations. And with the Krishna, he's keep talking about, you talk about me only. He's like a very possessive lover, and that's why he's taking care of the devotees, and he's explaining about this chapter very well, the relationship between him and the devotees in a one or two slokas. But the further he's building up the ground about the bhakti yoga. So he did talk about, we did talk about devotion few chapters. Here also we talk about devotion. So let's see. So overall this chapter is easy to understand. It's more continuation from the last chapter, and it's very straightforward in certain sense. So here Krishna says, so again here there is no question asked in this chapter. Arjun never asked any questions. So he did. So the starting of this conversation, Krishna says, "Now I will reveal you." He says to Arjun that you are not envious to me. That is the reason I'm going to reveal you the profound secrets of the self-knowledge and the self-realization, and that will free from you all the misery of this worldly existence. He used this non-envious. Ansuyava means non-envious. Because when you have envy or jealousy, you can't get that knowledge. So he's telling indirectly, he's setting up a eligibility here, that even if you want to really learn something, you want to really understand something, then we should be a non-envious. We should not have any jealousy. We should not have any competition. We should not have any kind of a comparison. So all these things he's setting up indirectly in this one word called Ansuyav. And he says, because Arjun, you are non-envious, I would like to reveal you the secret. And he did say the secret. Now we will see why he said. So he says this knowledge is the king of all the knowledge, mother of all the knowledge. Most secrets perceived directly by the instinct, and you can perform dharma with it, with this knowledge, as well as it very easy to practice. It's not this complicated or difficult, and is imperishable. So these are the keyword he says. So he is basically trying to give the importance about how important this knowledge is. So need to understand. So he used certain terminology. So same thing. Guhya means secret. So guhya gnan. Okay, so gnan is a knowledge. Guhya means secret. Now you may, we as nowadays we have a lot of questions, like our mind is asking a lot of questions. A lot of time the student asks why we should why this is a secret, why it's not available. I mean, it's good for the human being, why it is not available all the time, why we need to know or reveal this, or we need to break the secrets. That's where is like a eligibility. God has put it certain things so that we can value it. Number one, if you give the $100 note to the children, they don't know what is the value of the $100 note. So similarly, certain things we need to earn it. Okay, so in this sense, he is making a secrets. Now, secret also, like machine, when we work with the computer, we work with the typewriter or any other device, the machine doesn't understand the feeling. It may be run in a program or maybe the code or whatever the machine language is using, but there is no feeling. The robots doesn't have that feeling, but we have a feeling. We can feel the love, we can feel all kind of feeling. So that is the reason he said, once we feel, we have a choice to know this. So we have to make that effort. And once we have used these emotions and feeling in the right direction, then he can reveal himself as a direct perception. So in a way, he hide You can only see his direct perception through the love, and that we can do it. So he is also setting up that rule here that any secrets technically you want to know, the only condition is love, or only tool is the love. So we need to go back again. How you will get and master this love? Not this, we talk about divine love here. So love will only come when you have a divinity or that devotions, bhakti. And bhakti comes with the shraddha, faith. Pavitram, he said pure. This is so pure knowledge that will, like, we have a three types of impurity, they said, in a majority. Pap, sins, all the sins we do it day to day life, or past karmas or sanskaras. The bija, the seeds of all the sins that is in our emotions. We develop all the anger, jealousy, hatred, all this. And avidya, the ignorance in our heart. We don't know that why we are here, what we are doing. So we just running here and there. So all these three types of impurity or the curtain, it will reveal, and you will be very clear, and you will become very pure. And pratyaksha means directly perceptible. That means you don't need any research. The methodology is you know it. It's similar like how hungry you are, how you feel the hunger. Similarly, you can feel this love, and then you can directly communicate, directly perceive this knowledge. And kartum susukham means very easy to practice. There's no complications. Because if it is so important and if it is a complicated, then makes no sense. But he says that it is very easy to practice. Okay. Now, he did say about this. If you, those who don't have a faith in this knowledge, they will keep coming and going. They won't be get a breakthrough to this cycle of birth and death. So in order to, if you don't want to come again into this cycle of birth and death, you need to trust, you need to have a faith in this knowledge, in this vidya, in this yoga. So this is universe. Then he talk about again himself, and as a universe, he give his presence, that why it is important. So all the universe, entire universe is pervaded by me. Unmanifested Brahman also is depend on me, but I am not depend on anyone. So again, this chapter also so I am in everywhere, but I am not in certain gunas or certain areas. So you cannot define. So sometimes people mention the God is within me, so I am the God. No, it is not like that. So that's why we need to understand. So he talk about this. The faith is very important here. Now we need to understand, even all the religion, if you see Christianity or the Islam, or everyone talk about the faith. And in Jesus says that we walk by the faith, not by the sight. If you see every day to day life, small thing we do, knowingly, unknowingly, we have a faith. Now what is the faith? Faith is a belief, actions, and confidence. These three things is already generated. And it is very unconscious, by the way. You don't need to think, you don't need to plan. It's like a default. And what is a confidence? Confidence is that you will trust based on your knowledge or your past experience or your sensation. So you have your own, you don't have any, we can say, a gut. Sometimes that, oh, I can make it, or I will do it. Other people, other family people, they don't see that way. So that I'm confident, or I'm go with my feeling. So this is very important. So if we see, that is the reason a lot of people cannot understand the depth of this word called faith. Now, in English, we have a lot of different similar type of meaning: faith, trust, belief. But Sanskrit word is very, follow the Sanskrit word Shraddha, which is very easy. So when you talk about Shraddha, that is like a default. Without any effort, you are having a Shraddha in this divine, in this creation, in this Brahman, in this whatever you are doing it. So automatically it will lead, and it is unconscious. You don't need to plan, you don't need to think about it. So I was thinking that how to put it this in a formulating. So when you have a Shraddha, you will develop a satsang, because without Shraddha there is no satsang. So let's say if all of us wants to engage in a satsang. Now satsang is, we are talking the glory of the divine. It is not a discussion. A lot of people in the name of satsang, they are doing discussion. They are doing a talk. They are doing a seminar. They are doing a workshop. No. Satsang is, you are feeling it. You are experiencing whatever you talk about your experience. I talk about my experience. And we all talk about the same topic, but with a different experience. Company of the truth. Now, what is the ultimate truth? Is this Brahman you are talking about? So why we are talking about? So that you, if all of us, we need is a company of pushing each other or to motivate each other. This is where the this kind of talk of the satsang is generated, created, and maintained by the lot of organizations time to time. Or we used to go into the house, small house, and we used to do that, but nowadays people don't have time. So we should do this very regularly to keep going. Otherwise it's like once a week class, you will see how the people fade off. No doubt we are doing this learning, but if without any slide, without any topic, can we come once a week and then we just talk about, oh, today I have this and I tried this way and this works very well, or this won't work very well, I have this issues, how do I can do this? So a lot of things we need to learn from each other. So the satsang is important. Once you develop and you with the shraddha, you're talking and engaging in the satsang, then devotion will start happening. And once the devotion then start, it's easy to get the self-knowledge, because then you are like a more qualified, and then you know that it happens very naturally, rather than you plan it and then you make it do it. Let it happen rather than make it happen more. So now Krishna again talk about his cosmic manifestation. He talk about everything is pervaded by me, and that all the living dwell in me, but I don't. So all the creatures, all the living being is in me, and but I am not in them, or I don't need them. So this topic, this God is everywhere in the world, or the divine is everywhere. It mentioned in all the major Upanishads in India, in Vedas. So if you see all the uh, Shvetswar Upanishads, Ishopanad, Purush Suktam, everyone talk about in a different way, but it's the same thing, that there is a one God, and he seated everyone's heart. He's also everywhere in the world. So what you see outside is already inside. What you see and feel inside is already outside. God is everywhere in the world. God pervades everything in it has existed, all that we will accept. So basically, wherever your eyes can see, wherever your ears can hear, wherever all our senses can feel it, you will feel the existence of the God. Why this is he's talking this here? It is, we need to understand this. Why suddenly he's talking about his manifestation, his presence? We need to, the answer you will get after few slides. This is very, very subtle here message also. Okay, he keep talking about his existence. Okay, and his level. Now we need to understand. He did talk about in all the power is my divine mystery. He used the word mystery because again, you don't know. Then mystery is talk about, and he through all the sustainer and creation, I can do all this impossible thing possible. So he talk about the three Shaktis, Maya Shaktis, Jiva Shaktis, Yogamaya Shaktis, Kartum, Akartum, Samarth. That means that which can make impossible possible. If you remember, we talk about a Devi Tattva, a randomness in emotions. So something like that, it is sometimes beyond our imagination, beyond our control, beyond that logic, that certain things happens. That is where the impossible is becoming possible. So that is again the power of his Yogamaya Shakti. That is his all-powerful energy that God is having his existence. Now he did talk about that is like a wind blowing everywhere, but and settle down in the sky. So likewise, you will see me everywhere, and everyone will see in me. So there is no existence independent of the God. There is no like, oh, God is here and then everything is there. Yes, there is a hierarchy, but there is no you can pinpoint, oh, this is what it is. So we need to see everywhere his existence is same like a material energy, EMC square. All the matter has a energy. So his energy is nothing but his existence. So each and every item, what we see, what we hear, what we feel, we will see this his existence. That's what the Prahlad was feeling it when he is going to tortured by his father. That don't use Vishnu name, you use my name for the bhakti, and he can see everywhere Vishnu. He can feel it. He can sense it. He love it, and he tortured, but he again and again survived because of all the particles. He can see the and feel that existence of the God, the divine. Again, Krishna talk about this Kalpakashya, the Brahman lifespan that we talk about the last chapter. So, but here he talk about a different way. When we the last chapter we talk about the creation, he explained about the day and night, how the Brahman day and night, how the Brahma's lifespan, 100 years of Brahmas. Here he says, once it is created, it goes back to the unmanifested. So it is dissolved again. So dissolve also the Panch Mahabhuta, the five elements go to Panch Tanmatras to go Ahankar, Ahankar to Mahan, Mahan to Prakriti, Prakriti to Purusha. Where it is started is go back to the same way. So that's what he is explaining in this. And that's why it is, he said basically this, all this energy, material energy, all certain level, the creation and destruction is happening, the pralay that we talked about last time. So at every moment of time, right now also there is this creation and destruction is happening, but we need to know certain area, certain energy level, it won't be affected. So he did talk about this, and we need to be aware and understand that we need where we can be the safe. Now he did talk about his whole Prakriti and himself as a more supervision. He did say that Krishna says that the supreme God is the one who is managing. Is again we did the same example is like a prime minister and comes under all the celestial God, has a different department, similar like how the different ministry works. So is he's talk about the hierarchy and the level here. And then he did talk later on the slide that don't entertain. Yes, we need as a citizen we need to work with the officer and with the different ministry, but don't caught into that. Your ultimate objective is to bypass this and you directly communicate with the president, directly be in me. So if you are stuck into that, the celestial mode or that other areas or the lower level, that's where you will get the fruits and you will get the benefits onto that level only. Now, in that sense, the Patanjali has also explained the siddhis that way, that he talk about the different level of the siddhis, and then you don't get, uh, you know, over excited about that siddhis. A lot of people have get sometimes they practice certain yoga and then they feel good about and they want to stop there and they want to keep experiencing that feeling. Similarly in meditation, similarly in this emotions, it is that is why we say that when you experience anything you forget and then you build up again from the scratch. That's why we are growing and progressing. This is very important in this experience part, because and that's why it is very easy to caught into our emotions and the mind. So just go beyond it, just don't judge your feeling and experience and then keep going. And that is the reason he says that I am not directly giving you the task, but my officers or my so-called that ministry is getting work for you to get it done. So that doesn't mean that you are not working for me or you are not obey to me. We need to understand his organization. So he did talk about the different energies and soul apported by him and then purpose of doing in his domain. Now this is where in Vedic culture they talk about the different celestial god. About Indra is talk about and like rain and all this is like weather guy. Surya is all about sun god. So different ministry, different celestial god is performing the different tasks. Similarly, you go after or before, depend on their uh, siddhis. Some gurus and some yogis also is nominated or they have appointed because they have raised their conscious level so high and they have achieved. And some of them, they like to be in a human form and serve it as a society, as a form of, as a representative of this God directly. So there are a lot of yogis, they are doing it. Some of the yogis, some of the gurus, they don't want to manifest their body into the human body. So they are working in the energy level. So in my own picture last time I talked about, in that there is a hierarchy is there. The different lokas we talked about last time. So not everyone wants to come. It's just the same thing. Let's say you want to do voluntary work. How you do if you are busy? So sometimes you are busy, you donate a money. Let's say I will give $100 to I sponsor the food. Let's say. So you are doing this way, or you don't have money, so that okay, I will cook some extra food and then I will donate. Or sometimes you don't have to know how to cooking, you don't have money, but you help physically, or let's say I will monitor or I will organize and all this. So there is so many ways to do voluntary work. So similarly, there are so many ways to work under the God. Okay. And based on your strength, based on your understanding, based on our strength and spiritual connections and siddhis, we will nominate, or majority time the higher level you go, you will decide that you want to take a human form or not, or you want to just work as an energy level, you know. So this is where sometimes certain area, certain places, certain countries has, or certain temple has a certain significance in certain rituals, in certain mountain, all these things, because there is a full of energy. There is a pure energy. There is a powerful energy. There is a negative energy. There is a positive energy. So that is where we need to understand the science. In India also, there are few places like, for example, Varanasi or Kashi, or people think that why initially people go and if you die there you will be go to so-called directly purified or go to heaven or what. But in that sense, why that is the place people go and prefer to die there. Traditionally, there are that place has a lot of people has meditated, and there's so powerful energy there. So when you are is like a when let's say if you want to do a IT business or you want to do a startup, you want to go to that, let's say, a Silicon Valley. So what Silicon Valley is providing? Silicon Valley is providing, they don't give you, but they are creating a platform. If you have a business idea, you present them and they like it, then immediately they can create a platform. They can give you the incubator program. They will give you the maybe a funding. They can give you whatever is needed, the tools. Okay, you work on it. We will take care of all this logistics, and you focus and you develop your plan or product. Similarly, in the spiritual side, certain country, certain places, certain yogis, certain areas, is already a that incubator program is there, or that the infrastructure is there. So when you go there and meditate there, when you visit that particular place, automatically you know your ideas become facilitated. Your energy is some hidden energy, some is like a work culture, it is like open-ended work culture. So you can apply any creative idea and your boss is willing to experiment. So that's why we learn it. But if it is not acceptable by this, and then a lot of rigidity, then obviously it's not working out. Similar like the business friendly country. So this works is a similar way in a material world, but spiritual world also it works similar way. That is the reason people like to visit certain temple or certain mountain and certain country to visit and spend some time in ashram or that or do certain rituals. So you are taking the advantage of, and you are understanding, try to understand the communication and connection with the God, how they work directly and indirectly in the different bodies, different form, different energy levels. So this is very subtle and we need to understand. And here also, he did says that a lot of people, he said, Krishna says, they don't understand me, they don't recognize me. And in my personality as a supreme Lord or all the being, because there is a layer of people see based on like how we say that people wants to see what they want to see. People want to hear what they want to hear. So here Krishna says very clearly that God has to be perfected. So in order to become perfect and complete, he must have the both attributes, his personality as a physical form and formless. So form and formless aspect, you need to respect, you need to understand. You cannot stuck and stick and believe only one. You need to understand that if you, let's say, for example, if you see your Lord as a Krishna or Rama or any physical form of his avatar, similarly, his formless aspect also is true. Now, this is understanding, or what we see, it is also very much influenced by our gunas. So, Rajasic person will see, oh, he is like me. He's a man, and he wear so many like, and people debate. Oh, he's Krishna. Or he was like, he has a girlfriend. He has a so-called this kingdom and everything, and like so he's like a person like me and you. Some people, those who have a sattva, you will feel that, oh, he's a really guru, and he whatever his message was important, and then how he talk about, regardless he exists or he don't exist, but how he lived his life is very interesting. So using this all, so people see a different level. Is the same person, but you are receiving and understanding the same person differently. Similarly, the person who is very tamas in mind, they will see that, oh, he's like a playboy guy, and he's always like to do cheating in and he did all the cheating in fighting. This is exactly the Kaurava was seeing Krishna. He's like a magician, or he's like a mystic person. They don't see him as a yogi. So that's where we will see also. One of the very classic example I would like to share. So many time people influence, and I think we have discussed or talk about this topic in one of the class. I think Andrea, someone asked, like, who is your teacher or something. People say, oh, he's wearing a t-shirt and pant. Oh, that means he is not this way or he is not that way. So people do have that mindset. They have their own criteria. They have their own guidelines based on their gunas, because they believe that if you are married or if you have a children, that means you are not a guru, number one. Or if you become a sannyasi, you have a certain outfit, you have a certain rituals to perform, then you are grade, let's say grade 1 or a guru. Then if you are a priest or you are dedicated your life in Himalayas, you are a B guru or C guru, something like that. So all these things, the criteria, all this grade or this hierarchy is created by the people's mindset, people's gunas. So, but we need to see how the real and how you will see this, how to identify. Again, I give the same example I used to give is how you find your life partner. You can choose any of the person, you can choose any of the girl or guy, but why you fall in love with someone? So it is the same faith, the same process, same divinity. You meet again and again, and it happens. What you mean by happens is there is a devotion, there is a faith, there is a love. So initially you start having that shraddha with that person, and then you develop that connection. The devoted, you are devoting the time with him in a form of dating, in a form of working together, in a form of thinking about, in a form of, it's the same like a Krishna at that particular time, your boyfriend or girlfriend. You're 24 hours he's thinking about how she's liking and how I want to dress up for him or her. Every minute details you are talking and thinking and be with it. And then finally that becomes love. And you cannot live without them. So that, oh, I want to marry you, or I want to live with you together for rest of my life. It's the same thing we need to apply with the Krishna, with the divine, with that thing. That's what Krishna is telling us. And that 24/7 you should be dedicated on me and me alone. So, and that's why it says so a lot of great souls also take a shelter of the divine energy or the God energy. So, and those who have once you go to that higher level of siddhis, then you can decide that you want to take that human form or you want to work in a different energy. You can choose your designation, your areas of ministry or actions. So that's what it's talk about, that those who souls, the high level of souls, they can take the shelter of the divine, but it's all under him. And again, he talk about those ignorance people who's confused by this, influenced by the gunas. They don't understand. They don't understand the actions. They don't understand this knowledge and the quality, and they don't understand the difference between the friends and demons and all this. So he said that gunas play a big role. So first we need to go beyond the gunas, then you will see that his real form, physical form as well as in a formless form. Now he says that those who possess the divine quality by knowing me, that I am the cause of creation and imperishable, and worship me single-mindedly. He talk here that he used the word worship. Again, then next verse he talk about resolve this worship steadily by the devotion, single-mindedly. You keep thinking about me and talk about me, sing about me and my glories. Then I am with him. So if you see, he's talking about us how to do bhakti in a way. He's giving us a hint how we should think about him 24/7. We know that, okay, like devotion is the key, but how to do devotion? How to teach bhakti? That's why we said you cannot teach bhakti. You cannot teach love. We cannot teach how to love. You have to be with it. So, but here Krishna did give. Okay, Krishna not give. It's not talking about these three things, but to understand bhakti, we need to have a threefold devotion. So if you divide the devotion into the three areas, the Shravan, hearing is important, Kirtan, chanting, and Smaran, remembering. Okay. So, because when you talk about bhakti, the Kirtan comes up first play. But the second and third people don't talk about Shravan. Actually, the Shravan is coming first. Listening, hearing. What to hear? Satsang, glory, company, truth. We need to hear about truth. Because once you hear, then only you will chant. Then only you will talk. Then you will understand. And once by hearing and chanting and talking, we will remembering His glory. And that will help us for 24/7. Otherwise, it is very difficult. If you read a book, if you read a Gita, you won't remember. Because it is not a topic, a subject that you remember and all. So again, this goes back to that traditional language, that how we are learning anything. When we start learning, we are hearing and then we are talking, chanting. Similarly, the mantra, if you don't know the mantra, you just hear and just chant, hear and chant. And then guess what? After some time, maybe we will remember easily. And once you remember, you will never forget. It is in your system. So that is where this is the key to do bhakti. And once you are doing, so talk about singing the glories of any of the form, that all this six form we talk about, the names, forms, qualities, pastime, awards, associates of the God in the form of kirtan. Okay, so sing the kirtan is a bhajan, or the singing glories about any form of the divine. Now this kirtan is coming popular here also. We are seeing slowly people, is like a trend is building up. But again, we need to understand the true before you start kirtan. Nowadays, if you see that, immediately they have all the equipment and everything, the musical instrument, and then you start singing and all. But initially it has to start with the satsang. And when you are in a satsang, when you talk, automatically the chanting or the singing will start. If you go to the pub or bar or something, and then immediately not people immediately start dancing or singing, but slowly they start, and they're like building up. It's like a warm-up session. And you get to that point, and suddenly you feel so good, and then you want to scream, and you start maybe karaoke, or you can dance or whatever it is, you start doing that. So the process has to be this way, the pure kirtan. And when you do kirtan, you are not, there is no right, there is no wrong. You just doing in a pure love and devotion. So this is very important in a form. Otherwise, it becomes just a concert or the club. So in order to understand this, we need to listen, or we need to read more about these guys. And these are, as I talk about, few: Surdas, Tulsidas, Mirabai, Guru Nanak, Kabir, Tukaram, Eknath, Narsi Mehta, Jaydev, Tyagaraja. All these are the very famous bhakti saints. Majority are illiterate, but they form wonderful different form of poetry or slokas type of it, or two-liner, and then uh, different style, but they all talk about the glory in one line, because they feel it. When you feel love, you don't need to say I love you. You can say anything, and that other person can feel it, and or other person knows what you are trying to say it. Not only knows, they can feel it also. So similarly, once you feel it, you know what you are talking, and you are just using the words, you are using that language, or singing, or words, or any other feeling that to communicate with that. So we need to understand that this is how we can build up the bhakti. Now here, he did talk about some worship by the knowledge of sacrifice. He did talk about majority people sacrifice in the name of knowledge. Some worship, in fact, as it all in one. So some people will talk about. So he used here introducing the word Gnana Yoga. So some Gnana Yogi they follow and they sacrifice whole their life in a Gnana Yogi. Some is in worship. Whatever way he says, you feel it comfortable, I will get you there. So he's not telling that any particular path here, that you should do a kirtan only, you are doing bhajan only, you are doing this. But again, the bhakti yoga is the easiest and faster path. Now, Gnana Yogi, why the Gnana Yogi can be a faster also? Because Gnana Yogi is a knowledge, wisdom, science of realization. Consider themselves to be non-different from the God. Once that feeling you get it, you don't need any object, you don't need any hook for the meditation, because meditation is done by your divine and then you are part of it. So that is the reason the majority people say about very famous talk or the slogans or sutras, Soham, I am that, Shivoham, I am Shiv, Aham Brahmasmi, I am a Brahma. So that word automatically you will feel it, that I am Shiv, I am a Shiva, because you will feel it, the outside existence as well as inside. And that's why when you talk about, let's say, a Soham meditation, so you develop the Soham meditation. So you breathe in So and Hum, you will do a chanting of Soham, every breathe in, breathe out. But the truly understanding is not that interacting. You need to understand that this is the form of how the divine breath is coming and going into your body, and you are just connecting. So you are not different from the God. God is coming in the form of breath. So you are just connecting. So any Gnana Yogi, we need to have a knowledge that everywhere I can see myself, and everywhere I can see the God within me and outside as well. So we need to aware and understand that. To go further, Krishna did talk about, like, he's the best, and he will see in, I am the best in all the rituals. I am the best. I am the in yagna in all the rituals. The yagna is the best rituals. The herbs, I am offering any offering in any herb, I am the herb, he says. Any mantra, I am the mantra. Anything you want to put it into the liquid, I am the ghee, he says. Fire, oblation, supporter, universe, I am a father, I am a mother, I am a grandfather. I am object of the knower, I am a purifier, I am secret syllable of Om. I am also a Rigved, Yajurved and Samved. He did talk about all his existence in a way. He tried to say that every best thing I am in, or everywhere, wherever you can feel it and wherever you can do it in a form of all these rituals and everything, I am there. Here you see he did talk about the father, the mother and grandfather. Next chapter, next verse, he did talk about his and the supporter and the refuge and the friend. So he said very interestingly, indirectly here, why we build up this relationship, why we start caught up in this relationship. When we born with the mother, father, and then we come and then we see the physical body and we get attached with that relationship, mother, father, husband, wife and all. So you need to understand this is very subtle. The relationship, any relationship is temporary, except with the divine, except with the company of the God, except with the company of the satsang. That's why once we are like, when you are a form of satsangi group, we used to do that. That relationship is different because there is no caste, there is no age. Everyone come and then they are like family. And any relationship, separation you cannot avoid. That has to be separate because eventually there is no joining. So it has to be dual. Now we need to aware, and similarly how you see the ocean. Ocean forms the wave. The wave build up. So two waves going hand to hand together for some time, and after that it's dissolved. So all our relationship also similar like the wave. But wave coming from where? All this relationship coming from where? Is the same ocean. So same divine. This is what he's trying to say, that all this mother, father, brother, they are it's the waves, and I am the ocean. If you want to give the analogy. So we need to be better work with the ocean. And we need to hand to hand, we need to work in a surface level, whatever we need to work as a father, as a mother, we need to do, but don't separate it with that ocean. And due to this gunas mindset, we don't have that ability to understand this, and then we caught into that, oh, I'm a mother, I'm a father, and then we just focus on the surface level and we forget the true relationship, unless until we separated or anything is happening. So we need to see everyone we are meeting day to day life, there is some reason, there is some connections. We don't need to think also, but just need to perform and in a pure way, whichever way we can, and then go with the flow. That is the reason one of the classic uh, not prayer, but it's a sloka when we perform, when we get the spiritual knowledge from the guru. We says that to guru, generally in India, we says, especially spiritual guru, Tvameva mata chapita tvameva, Tvameva bandhu jasakha tvameva, Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. This is so emotional. You're talking your spiritual guru because who is giving this Rajavidya to connect with the divine, and you are telling that you, Tvameva mata, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my brother, you are my friend. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva, you are my knowledge, you are my all the money, all the material things, what I have. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. You are my everything and anything what I contain. So basically, you are accepting him in all in one. So you don't, that doesn't mean that you don't need your father, mother. But he's put the guru or the divine, you put it above all this relationship. That is the reason in traditionally in India, guru comes first, then the mother, father, then mother, then father and brother and sisters, likewise. So this sense he did talk about with the true relationship with the guru. Now why the guru? Because guru bina gnan na hoy. Guru is the channel of this Rajavidya. Okay. So that is also, it is the same way. If you have to respect the guru, then only you will get this vidya as it is, because it is a, as we say that the divine is not directly work with us. So we need to go and get it. And then once you get it, then you don't need the guru. If you need it, the more you practice is given by the practice or whatever, then you can go on higher level and you can build up that hierarchy. That is where the guru is more powerful than the devatas or the celestial god. Some of the gurus is going and sitting above the higher consciousness level of the celestial god. Some of them they put it themselves down, but majority they put it, and that is the reason Kabir says that guru and god is in front of me. Which one I'm confused, which one to pray first or which one to touch the feet. Then he go and touch the feet to the guru, because he said बलिहारी उस गुरु की जिसने गोविंदियो बताए. Through the guru I met to divine. So I must go and I bow down the guru first. So we need to understand and aware, because majority time we caught into our relationship and we think that everything is then. So we need to go and we need to see who is our real father, or like a biological father and spiritual father, mother, and all this we talk about. So we need to aware all this day-to-day life, whatever we are in material life we talk about, it's all our biological relationship that is bound to go separate one day. And in that sense, we talk about, as we discussed earlier, celestial delights of heavenly adopts are temporary also, because certain people will manifest. Let's say if I want to make more money, I pray to Kuber, or I pray to that Lord of Wealth. Or if I need a health, let's say Dhanvantri or the Lord of Health. So I will get that mastery, I will get that benefit, but that is also temporary, because you are going and work in that ministry level for certain time, and once you have achievement, and you will get it, you will enjoy, and then you need to go furthermore. Again, you need to have a human form, because human form only you have a eligibility to go higher level and to meet that divine. You cannot have a middle management or certain people. You don't have certain rights. So this is where he talk about that a lot of celestial gods are dying to have a human form. And if you see, that is why the avatara, whenever the Krishna or the Rama or that Narsi avatar needs to take care, they have to come in a physical body time to time to do some establishment of dharma, establishment of knowledge, or different task by the supreme divine. So that's why certain guru they are doing, you will see so many people doing wonderful work in a field of business, in a field of technology, in a field of spirituality, everywhere. They are all nothing but some way they are directly a messenger of this supreme divine. And to achieve that, because they have a peace, they can feel it, and they can work directly with that supreme divine. That is not possible when you have a celestial range or the celestial god body. So we need to enjoy and we need to understand this. Now here Krishna says very powerful thing. Vahami aham. I personally carry the burden of maintaining my devotees. So powerful. But can we appreciate this? Do we understand this? Can we become a good devotees? That's it. Then he will maintain us. He will take care of us. Personally, I will carry the burden. So anything we need to maintain, we just need to be his devotee. How to grow, how to sharpen, he will take care. In that sense, we used to say this, we just need to take one step in devotion. The God will take 10 steps for us. We just need to have that jump from that, like a bungee jumping. Then he will take care. Don't worry. But we, all the life, we are afraid of that taking the first step. And that's where we don't get there. Once you get there, then you know the cycle. Then you know that he's taking care of me by all the means, physically, financially, spiritually, relationship wise, everything. And you will be very confirm and firm, and you know that whatever he is doing is good for you. He is going you, is honoring you, protecting you. We call it like a spiritual assets. Devotees, spiritual assets. We do first. We need to build up our assets, and he will maintain. He will protect. Wealth management. He is the best wealth management. Provided one condition. Can you guess what is the condition now, or should you can answer this? Can you tell me? Otherwise you feel sleepy. Else I will feel sleepy. The easy answer. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Faith. Faith.
No. Further. You already become devotees.
Surrender.
So, yes. Now this time we talk about exclusive surrender. You know, see, again, he's like like a boyfriend and girlfriend. That he's very possessive. Divine, you is like mother and child. No one should know how I take care of my child. You know, if you have the best, or you don't know how I know everything about my child, small things. So in the same way, we need to be exclusive surrender. Then we need to do. So here are so many things we are talk about. First, we need to become a devotees. Once we are devotees, then it is not easy, by the way. You can see so many good devotees. So many. I have seen so many. I have grew up with the so many in my family members and all this, including my parents. I see. And I was wondering, some of how they behave sometimes, how the other people I see when we used to go satsang, how the other people, those who don't have money, those who don't have, forget about money, the food, they don't have enough food, and they are willing to give a donate every 10 rupees or 5 rupees by selling certain cloth and anything. Oh, I want to give this. I was thinking how they can survive. They don't have money, and they were like, give me, I want to give. So many things. So the surrender play a very interesting role. So first we need to become a devotees. It's not easy. And once a lot of you will see as a devotees club, I can say again, because it's a place that people feel it. Oh wow, I feel love, I feel great, I will do a voluntary. So it's like a social organization. You go there, you perform all these rituals, you puja, you meditate, you perform, you give this. There's no harm in doing that. But you are applying this surrenderness. That is where we need to learn this. And majority of them, they don't know what is their spiritual asset. We have only one asset, by the way, is the faith, Shraddha. And that is where we need to keep going and keep maintaining this. And we need to work on that. That's it. Now you work in a form of asanas, in a form of pranayama, in a form of money, and then doing that. Now, so many stories, I am sure you have so many life experience also. If we see our life very carefully, he is taking care of us. Sometimes you meet some person, you go to, I went first time in Hong Kong, and I don't know, That time my English was also not good, and just like I cannot pronounce the place I want to reach. But I was middle of the street. I lost, and I don't know what to do. And I was so lost and like literally fear. Now what to do next? I don't know where to reach. There is no mobile that time, no GPS, nothing, no internet. So I was just thinking and then feeling and like desperate, you know. And guess what? From nowhere, I don't know, someone came and has asked me, "Do you need help?" Oh, I said, "I can help." And guess what? He's talking in Hindi. Then I said, "I want to go." I said, "Oh, it's opposite. Just go there." And then he said, "Bargain." And he not only he show me the way, he said, "You go there and you make sure that you don't pay this much of not more than 100 Hong Kong dollar to stay there or something like that." So many experience. But are we connected with that level? Are we connected with that ourselves? Then you will see that day to day life, so many people will come and go and disappear. We don't realize this is how he's managing our spiritual asset. This is how he's giving us a stranger. This is how he's meeting up all of us and communicating and talking. And then people will dissolve, people will come again. After some time, they come. After 5 years, they come. 50 years, they come. Like I was discussing with my friend, we did talk about 25 years ago certain things, certain plan. Very, very casually is like in our college days, you know, oh, after when we are like 45, we will do this. And guess what? After like 25 to 30 years, we are doing the same thing. And he is becoming, or I am becoming, each of us, like, you know, the witness or the reason or the cause. So many people come and go in our life. It's also having the certain issues or certain ways. Similarly with the relationship, people come also with that surrender and they depart. Also there is a way. So he knows how to maintain our spiritual ground. So we don't need to think too much. We just need exclusive surrender. Exclusive. But that requires, again, the Shraddha. It's the same thing like the first step. Once we have the first step, everything is taken care. And the best thing is, once you experience this, by the way, you will be addicted. I am addicted. So I used to say that that God has to test us. We can test the God. We can test the divine, you know. So this is the best way. We need to put ourselves, but again, we need to use the same feeling and Shraddha and not like do a stupid thing and then you put your hand into the fire and then, okay, let me see that God can take care of me. No, we need to use with the same love, emotions, and the good faith and intention that I'm doing it, then rest of this. So it's interesting. I would like to share here one thing today. What happens? You know, I was talking, Andrea, and I think Rika is not aware of it, but about that I apply for that business concept thing in Canada, and it's like generally it takes only 10 days to get the answer yes or no, and it took 3 months or more than 3 months. There's no answer. We give them best, and guess what? The moment I landed today and I switch on my mobile, I got an email from them
Oh my
that
God.
no, the email is what, you know, they rejected my concept. So then I was laughing, and then I read that. So and they give the reason also. Okay, then because of this certain reason is okay. Certain reason I don't understand why they have is they don't, whatever is happens. And I was laughing a lot because we already discussed this things that is something is not wrong, and then some reason I was very happy that something is pulling me someone other way around, because I was thinking that if this is happen, then we'll do this. So let go this. In fact, the last time I met my so-called this consultant, I said that with or without the outcome, I'm going to go with my plan. He said, don't take any hasty decisions and all. So, but I said, no, I want to do that because something is pulling me very, very different way this time. And my time is up. I was keep telling him, but certain things they don't understand. Now only a few of my friends can understand. And those who are like negative before, they are telling me a different advice that I was like, wow, you read my heart now. So it's very interesting that certain things, what we are like, we talk about the business, we talk about relationship, we like to go with certain ways, but divine has their own plan. So that's what I'm telling. When we are surrendering, we don't need to use our intelligence. That why this happens. Okay, happens. We have done it. It's fine. Now, what is our options? Yeah, that doesn't mean that we can. Maybe that region is not for me. Either I can try another region, another model, another category, or I just keep quiet and I don't know. So that will come another. We will plan it out. The whole part is exclusive surrender, and then just go with the flow. Now here he talk about his little talk about the different worship. So once you are surrender, surrender comes with the worship. Now, a lot of time we don't know how to do worship, especially nowadays. So I like this part very much because a lot of time we caught into rituals, terminology, protocols, spiritual protocols, and forget what exactly divine wants. So he did explain about when you have a plant where you plant when you water your plant to the leaf. If you watering towards the leaf will get benefit. Simple as that. But that doesn't mean the whole tree will alive or not. You need to have the whole tree beautiful and healthy. You need to plant to the root. You need to water the root, not the leaf. If you root, leaf will automatically take care. But if you take care only a leaf, then it will take care of that part only. So similarly, when you worship the celestial God for your material benefit or certain reason or certain siddhis, you will get that benefit only like that leaf. You need overall the detachment from the life, the cycle of the birth and that. Then you need to go to the root. So you need to truly liberation. Now understand that not everyone wants the liberation. Everyone it's the same thing. Why I'm enjoying this human life? I'm enjoying this. I like to go marry and I would like to eat and I would like to travel. So who cares about the cycle of birth and that? Who cares about the moksha? It's fine as long as. But those who wants to really come out from this and want to go higher level and progress, then we need to know where we are watering our plant. So that's what he's talking and how we are watering. That is very important. So and he talk about the implications of the worship in a different entity. So as in a Vedic philosophy, we have Indra, Surya, Kuber. So like all these categories. So it's like basically which department you are interested. So you are doing that worship. So you will get that benefit, So it's a similar like you go to that particular hot yoga. So you will get a hot yoga related benefit. You will go to that Hastanga. You will go that Astanga related. So it's like a specialization. So what you see, what you get. And there are people who worship the ghost and spirit. So Krishna did talk about. So they will get that same effect in their next life. A lot of people, we used to do that. We used to go that they are doing, they're using the third party entity to cure the people, to get benefit the people, to get material benefit, to get relationship. If I want to possess certain girl or certain man, or I want to possess the business, or I want to get that project. A lot of people do all these things, including the celebrity people. You will surprise. So they take this kind of people's help. They talk about that they use the external entity. So that then your life will become the similar, end up in the same way, you know. And those for us, we need to go into the divine personality. So we need to attach with the divine. So what we can feel it, the next birth, we will get the detachment from the cycle of birth and death. So how we worship, whom we worship, we will get the benefit or results accordingly. That's what he's talk about. Now, how to do worship? He says very beautifully. He says, whatever you offer me, leaf, flower, fruit, water, devotion, I accept and eat offering of a devotions by pure hearted, as long as it is given by the pure hearted. Simple, so beautiful. He don't say, oh, give me $100 note, you give me a apple with the cleaning with the pure water, or you just perform with the certain chant mantra and then you offer me this. There is no protocol, there is no hierarchy, there is no this, only one condition: pure heart. No cheating, cheat and deceit. Without any cheat and deceit, with the pure offering, I would like to offer you. It's the same way. And that's what he says. All the objects and actions offered to me has to have a pure heart. He did talk about object and actions. Now Vivekananda also says everything is devotion and services. We need to think that way. Now here I would like to highlight few things. As I said, in a name of worship, a spiritual protocol has been created so many times. You go to the temple, you go to the church, you go to the mosque, everywhere you go. Not only that, even in certain studios, sometimes certain gurus created their own artificial, all that rituals. So all these things, majority time, a Western people can caught into this. The Indians are already caught, by the way, majority of them, if they don't have that real knowledge. But by seeing that or following them, you feel that, oh, this is a part of the protocol. So knowingly or unknowingly, you will doing that or chanting that. And that's where you are no longer you're offering what you feeling. You are just fulfilling the protocol, and there is no feeling is coming. So for example, you go in India, let's say you go any, and that's why I never go to the temple. I never been to temple as offering because I don't know what to do with that. There's a lot of people thinking I'm a very spiritual guy. We used to go there, and then it's a very difficult question. Then what to do with that? But and in my family, we never went to it. And I used to ask my father, why we don't go to temple? I said, your temple. Then he start teaching me and all these things. But that doesn't mean I don't go. I go there also, and I go with that offerings, and I go with this whatever it's required to be done as a rituals as best. But this is okay to do that. But the most important ingredients is the feeling. You know, we say that flower, if you can give flower, is fine. But if your heart is pure, if just one petal of the lotus or petal of that rose, it is equivalent of the whole flower. Is the feeling is very important. And if the feeling is missing, you do all the rituals and everything and protocol is no use, including the actions, you know. So the actions is very important. Actions, a lot of people do a puja, they do a so-called chanting mantras and everything, but there is no connections. They're just chanting loudly or they're showing off and everything. Do it's a similar like how you don't need to be a very what do you call that, projecting yourself to show your love. Oh, I love you. You have to sing in a way, and then you have to do this. You just need to simple, pure-hearted. You have to say it. So then you can feel it. You don't need to articulate this. You don't need to be make it as a singing song or whatever. So we need to understand any object and understand with the heart of the child. We need to come and then we need to offer. That's what he says. That is where he says, don't come with the selfishness. You have to renunciation of your selfishness. Then every action has a defect. Now, this is where you will see, you may ask so many times this kind of questions, we have a discussions. Krishna says actually answer to this. When you have a fire, you always have a smoke. Is a relationship. Unknowingly, we are killing millions of tiny living entities right now itself. When you breathe in, so many bacteria is killing. So we are murderer. When you are walking, you just step on the small ants and everything. So how we can be a pure? Sometimes you are doing your duties, but you are harming, or some people get affected by that. Either environment or the person. What to do? You don't know sometimes. Sometimes you know, but your intention was not that. Your intention was right, but some people get affected and get hurt. Similarly, let's say if you are driving the car very normal speed with very conscious way, out of the somewhere some pedestrian come and that hit your car and killed. Then how you feel? Whose fault? Not your fault. Even judge knows that, oh, you are going, everything is okay, and then his fault, or somehow you lose the balance and come, and then you won't get punishment. So Krishna tell, and even when you eat the yogurt, you are killing the bacteria. So knowingly, unknowingly, we are killing, we are creating a disturbance in nature, in person's life, in surroundings, in your business, in your relationship. No matter how perfect you are in, how conscious you are in, Krishna says that every actions you will have all this. Now, I think this is a very good thing, because he says then what to do. You don't need to do anything. You perform your actions without any selfishness, with a good intention. That's it. Now, how the other people react, you don't have to care. If they hurt themselves, you don't bother about it. If they don't like you, you don't bother about it. Your intentions matter. You cannot satisfy everyone. You cannot protect, no matter how environment friendly you are, you have to breathe. And by breathing, you are killing so many bacteria, so many viruses, whatever it is. So you cannot be a perfect. So then what is the point? So point is to be a good intention, because everyone has its own destiny and relationship. That's where all people come and go together. So a lot of burden we are carrying, knowingly, unknowingly. Oh, because of I said to me, and now she's not friend of mine, and she's no longer is keeping relationship with me, and all. And so we need to get rid of this. As long as our intention is with the pure heart, as a child. When you slap your child, if they do mistake, you are very angry and you slap, they cry, maybe they don't speaking, but next day they come and hug again, and mama, how are you, what are you doing? You forget. Intention is right. Your intention is right. So that's why both of you come and go. So similarly, when our intention is right, our we don't have any hidden agenda in our relationship, in our actions, and then other person will come and we don't come and work with us, or they separated or whatever. We just need to wish a good luck from them, for them. And if they come or they don't come, it's fine. If they come, most welcome. They don't come also, most welcome. Simple as that. Enjoy. But you should not take a burden that, oh, because of me, they get distracted. Because no way you're going to satisfy. That is their gunas. They are taking that actions, or they are taking this, or that is their karmas. Okay, so this is where it is more relaxing and relief. You will feel it after listening this, because we don't. Our job is to do every karma with awareness, with the pure intention, like a child, and no hidden agenda and selfishness. We need to renunciation. Then we are good. In that says, again, he says very, very powerful statement here. God don't do any partiality. He gives everywhere everything same, like a rainwater. Rainwater comes in. Similarly, everywhere, no matter which country there, as long as there is a rain, is coming. Now, the drop is going into a gutter or the dirty mud, it become muddy. Oyster, it become so-called pearl. So how the water is contaminated by the different gunas, different personality, it will become like that. God is not created, oh, you are good, so I will give you more money. You are bad, I will give you less money. No. It's all the opportunity, everything. He says, I don't do any partiality. Krishna says, in my spiritual realm, spiritual God, I don't do any partiality. You have to accept me as that water. Are you ready? You want to take this a drop of water to drink? Then you have to wait and absorb me with the pure intention and power. So purifying the power of bhakti, he's teaching us here. So once we are powerful, we know how to absorb this. And he says that he give another trigger here. Exclusive devotion, Ananya Bhakti. When you have Ananya Bhakti, then you can do amazing thing. Even while the sinners worship me, he will become a saint, like a Valmiki. Valmiki was like a robber, and he was a killer. All the so-called all is like a gangster, but he became a yogi. So before Valmiki, he was a Valya, and Valya, it's become Valmiki because once he understand an existence and he talk about. So basically, he's trying to say that even you have done a wrong deed, or you kill someone and then you come to me, I don't do any partiality, because all these things, it's your karma. It's a dance of the karma. So at that, this is good in that sense. We can enter this life anytime, anywhere. You no need to wait to purify. You no need to wait for 60 years. You no need to wait to become this yogi. You just need to be aware and we become like a child. And then, okay, I want to surrender. That's it. So in bhakti, that's why this is the easiest path. Because not everyone can accept criminal. Let's say the gangster wants to go to in a temple and then they want to perform puja. I don't think so anyone is offering him any kind of a puja or any kind of this thing. But he can go and do himself, and then he can do a bhakti, an exclusive devotion, and then he can change the whole dimension. There are so many saints in so many countries. They have turned around their life from bad to good. So this is where he's talking about that, become like that hunger and then have the exclusive devotion, exclusive shraddha to me. Then you can change whatever your outcome, you can change your destiny. You can change, and I'm there with you. So you take one step, I will take the 10th step for you. So just do an exclusive devotion in me, and then everything will be fine.
You said correct me if I'm wrong, it's like okay to take different paths or combination of different paths to get to the same ending. That's why there's different yogas. It doesn't have to be only bhakti.
Yes.
But you can combine bhakti with ashtanga or other options.
Yes. So if you ask me, actually we are doing bhakti in all actions.
Right.
While you are devotion. So this is the essence. He's not telling, that you do a Raj Yoga and all. But if you don't, when let's say when we do a Ashtanga Yoga or Kriya or Mudra, you are doing alert. You are performing. Your consciousness is there. You are feeling your body. You are cleansing. So what you are going slow down. You are feeling it. So there is a very indirect, subtle way you are doing devotion here. So, but if we learn this, because this is easy to learn, rather than the Ashtanga Yoga or mantra or the chanting or any other thing. So, and we can apply day-to-day life. And as a mother, as a father, we are doing this, by the way. So once you are doing, and we are already used to this, we can easily can apply this into our practice. Then you will see the results very beautifully, fast and interestingly. Now, this is where no one is teaching. This is a secret ingredient, you can say that. In a practice of pranayama, there is no devotion. In a practice of posture, there is no devotion. Because people it is not easy to understand the devotion. It is not easy. Forget about the devotion. What about the Shraddha? People comes the curiosity. Why should I do this? Give me the reason. Oh, I'm doing this. So we come into that way, that because of that information issue, we try to know why. And when you are doing a lot of why, then you don't. And that's the fundamental difference between the trust and the faith, or the trust and the Shraddha. Because if it's something like that, if you see, the trust is coming very conscious matter, conscious effort. Oh, Andrea, I trust you. That's why I'm telling you this secret. I have to tell you that, and I have to mention you that I trust you, and I have to also tell you the consequences of this. But when I have a faith or Shraddha in you, I don't have to bother about it. I know, whatever the outcome is there. And by the way, you know the outcome also in your heart. So when you have that feeling and Shraddha, and then you know already that is going to happen. And that's where the wisdom join in and blending, because it's everything comes within from you. We don't need a opinion. We don't need anyone's suggestion. Oh, do you think, can I invest in this money in this? Then you need to trust the product. You need to trust the person. So this is very subtle. So that's why the Shraddha is coming unconscious.